Just got back from a train trip. Went all the way across to Minnesota, of all places. Why? Because we went to the Mall of America. It was a blast. I've never been, and I'm a old school mall rat and from the 80s, so I had to visit the Mecca. Yeah, it's huge and it is fun. There's an amusement park in the middle. But inspired, while I was in Mall of America, I found a little toy shop of all places that sold disc golf discs and things like that, and there was a whole shelf of our miniature kits. So I had to get one, and of course I had to get the one that had a train station in it in honor of our trip. So I spent, ever since I got back, let's have a seat here. I decided I was going to do this train book nook. I've never done a book nook before. And stay tuned and you can see how I made it. Oh, I think our train's coming. All right, I know I have stacks of kits to do on the back burner, but I had to get this one. So I haven't done a book nook before, and I think the biggest surprise for me was there's not a whole lot to it. So there was this pile, and I was like, great, because this is a big box. And then you got the big instruction book that's very, very thick because it's in several different languages. And then there's not much else. The thickness of the book worried me a little bit, but then I realized there's it's in, well, at least mine was in about 7 different languages. So there's a section for every language. So that made it into a hefty little book there. But overall, it's not too bad to put together. So let's get it started. The one thing I loved about this kit is every single piece is labeled. It's great. It's kind of half the game is trying to find your little parts, but at least it's labeled. Hallelujah. So we'll just start out. When you pull them out, you do, and it does provide the little sandpaper piece. Just sand the little nubs that come out. No big problem. With this kit, it's basically like building a model car, or if you've ever done planes and things like that. There's a lot of tiny little pieces that don't make sense until you get the whole big piece, put together. Like this looks like a little machine gun or something. But it's part of the train. What we're doing in this video, we're just going to build the train. And believe me, it takes a lot of your time to build just this train, but it's worth it. We're basically building the bottom part, the chassis? I'm not a mechanic, so the bottom of the train where the wheels go. And I'm trying to decide what goes where. Because when you first build it, like every kit, you kind of learn how they're what they're trying to tell you. So just take your time. This one can be tricky. And this is going to get to the point where it's going to start to look like what it's going to become. Little train. These are very cool parts because like this one, it's bendy and it's flexible, and because it's going to make that round, I call it the nose, the front end of the train. Another thing on this kit, it did provide some glue, and it was a very small little glue stick kind of thing. I didn't have to use much glue on this one. They fit very, very tight. Now we're just going to put the back end. This is where the engineer is going to stand and stoke the coal and things like that. It's just a little platform. Becoming a train. This is still the back end. Everything fits exactly right. And this is the one time it tells you, well, there's more than one time, but this is the one time it tells you to glue, just so it lays flat on that tube part. Now I put this all together. I put the nose on the front end, the face, the Thomas the Train, the face, but there's no eyeballs. I put this all together, and this is the point where I was like, you know what? I don't like all the exposed wood. When you punch it out of the big hole piece that you had to punch them out of, it leaves exposed edges of a brown, and it kind of, it has that puzzly look. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start getting fancy here. I'm going to paint everything. So I found colors that are very close to what they are. The red and the dark grays. Kind of all stays in those tones. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make this puzzle a little bit harder. It wasn't that hard. By painting all the edges and make it a little more finished. Now let's put it back together and see, that makes it a little more polished, I think. I think from now on, we're going to do this. It'll make it a couple extra steps, but I think it looks nice. Now we're just sticking on the little label there that says time travel. And even these teeny tiny pieces, if they stick out, I do touch them up a little bit with the paint. See how it sticks through? I think this one I left alone because it kind of looks like it's riveted on. If it makes sense, I leave it alone. If it needs more polishing, then I paint it. Again, this is personal preference. I did it. It looks perfectly fine the other way. I just had to be extra. Putting the little front door on there. I don't know what it does, but okay. It looks cool. And here I am just painting the sides, and that's what I did to every single piece. And here you can see what they look like before. See the exposed wood, which works fine. But, you know, me being me, I painted them all. And I got a lot of different paint, so I was lucky to find a paint that matched almost perfectly. And then we're just going to put the wheels on. This train has a lot of wheels, and these are the ones that have the long, I don't know what, I don't know trains. You guys can correct me in the comments, that's fine. But they're like the pistons that connect the two wheels and keep them going. And I at first put these on completely wrong. And I looked at it as like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like a train wheel. And then I fixed it. You just have to turn the one wheel. And then just place them on the train. These instructions are very nice and clear. They're all in black and white. There's no color photos or anything like that, which is perfectly fine. It's very straightforward. Like, it's a lot like if you do a model airplane or a model car, those type of instructions. Very straight to the point, which I like. Sometimes I wish the houses were a little like that. Alright, now we're going to build the little headlights. And I did debate whether I was almost going to paint a silver paint for where the headlights were, but I decided not to. I was like, we'll leave it as is. But I did paint the edges. And I'm going to get more and more paint on my fingers as we go. The trickier ones is the teeny tiny little pieces like this. And usually I don't paint them unless I know absolutely it's going to show. Now we're going to connect this piece to the wheels. Everything fits nice and tight, and it does fit. They got this down. Somebody knew trains when they built this thing. And don't worry about breaking it. A lot of these, especially the skinny pieces, they did make spares. So I did snap a couple. Not too bad. If you're gentle enough, you should be okay. Or I just glued it in place. But because they're not actually going to move and work. But they do give spare pieces, but not on all the pieces. Look at that. This one's very satisfying to do because it does actually look like what it's supposed to be. It's like, oh, I'm making a train. It's cool. Now we gotta build up the front end. What do they call it? The cattle scooper, or the bumper. Now I'm zoomed in quite a bit, so it's hard to convey, except for by my big fingers there. These pieces are teeny tiny. This particular, I don't know about the other ones. I haven't tried the other book Nooks, but maybe I will. But I probably wouldn't recommend it to littler kids to do. They are very tiny, although they're probably really good at them with their little fingers. And they do fit very tight. I didn't have to glue hardly anything. There we go. The front end is about done. Ta-da! Okay, now we're going to build the back end, because this is where our little conductor engineer, who drives the train driver. It's his little compartment in there. And these instructions are very nice and clear. Nice clear pictures of where little arrows and dotted lines. Just be mindful of the direction of the parts. Like I'm doing there. I'm flipping it around. And these are the doors on the side. And this is one part I did glue in because it was just a little too wobbly there. So just to secure it with just a little dab of glue here and there. And now we're going to put the back end on. Some of these pieces are very strange, but they magically fit all together perfectly. So do it in the order that they have it in the book. There's a purpose and a reason for them to do it in that particular order. Because if you did the roof before this, then this wouldn't go in. It's all very purposeful, so just do it exactly in the order. Sometimes, you know, like when we make furniture and things like that, we can skip around. We know how a chair is made. But this particular one, you know, not 100% confident how a train is made. Have you built a train? So just follow the instructions. All right, now we're going to put the roof on. Yep, again, just follow the nice, easy instructions there. And these pieces do fit in very tightly, so you might have to get your pliers out a little bit to squish them down. But it's a good thing, because these suckers are not going to fall apart. That's for sure. Looking cool. Alright, now we got to put some steps in here. And this is just so the little conductor guy can go in there and get in and do his job, drive the train. Now, I did not paint the pieces in the back, purely because when you put it in the piece, you're not going to see the back end. I did once I was finished with everything, I realized that this is not actually glued into the project. You can take it out and look at it. It's very cool. So I did go back and kind of touch up some parts and pieces, and just to make it pretty. Or you can leave it like this, either way. Okay, this is the piece that goes on the top, with the smokestack. And I stared at this and I go, is that supposed to be a bell in the middle? It sure is. So I was thinking about how I'm going to paint this. So I'm going to build the little bell, and you know what? We're going to paint it as a bell. So I painted that part in a silver gray. Hey, if we're going to be fancy, we might as well do it all the way, right? Hey, it's an official little bell. And just stick it on the top there. And I definitely painted the smokestack in their coordinating colors, because once it was stacked up, it just looked like a bunch of little discs stacked up. We want it to look like an actual smokestack, right? So the inside, this is just to hold all the pieces up so we don't have to paint those. And then stick the little rings on in order that it says. Notice some pieces show, so I did go back and kind of paint some pieces here and there. Again, this is totally optional. This is just me being me. There we go. Look at that. I used the glossy black paint on the smokestack. It looks pretty cool. I was pretty proud of this. I had to show everybody. The boys loved it. My husband wanted to play with it. Oh, and then we forgot the little running boards here. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be for, but I did paint those, and I made it kind of like a pinstripe on the side. And there we go. The little engine that could. We did it. I think it looks really cute, and I'm glad I did go through the trouble of painting everything. It just kind of makes it a little more mwah, you know, chef's kiss. I was going to do this all in one video, but making the actual station part was very involved. It seems simple, like a little box with a, you know, station in there, but the lighting and things like that is a little trickier. So I think I'm going to split these apart, but first we're going to the pride and joy of the little engine. Gonna take us to Hogwarts or somewhere. And then coming up next video will be all the rest, and we'll put the little train at the station. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss all the future videos, and hit that like button so I get into your recommendation, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. You guys are great. Bye.